You're listening to the Sales Today podcast, and I'm your host, Fred Copestake. On this podcast, we explore how sales professionals can develop a more modern approach to selling, the application of virtual and hybrid selling techniques, how to create meaningful business relationships, and much more. Welcome to this episode of the Sales Today podcast, where I'm delighted to be joined by Harry Spaight. Harry is a sales trainer, sales coach, works with salespeople, a practitioner of sales as well. But most recently, he is the author of Selling with Dignity. So, Harry, first up, welcome to the podcast.
Fred, it is so awesome to be here and meet a fellow like-minded sales guy. So we're going to have some fun today, man.
We've just been chatting offline before I hit record, and I'm so excited about it. I got the name of the podcast wrong. So this is going to be a good episode.
At least we have the guest and the host right.
Well, you host a podcast as well, don't you? So I don't know. We'll see what happens. I'm sure we're going to talk about a whole load of good stuff that's going to help salespeople to operate in a way which is far more conducive for success today.
Awesome.
So, selling with dignity. I mean, it does lead me to a very easy first question. What is selling with dignity?
Oh, man. Yeah. So selling with dignity is all about having respect for other people and respect for the sales business. I've looked at sales completely different. I've been like the opposite for sales over the years and just felt like you got to treat people like they're regular people and not a commission, right? And so I wanted to write a book that was all about treating people the right way. And that would lead to great sales and great businesses if people do that. So that's it in a nutshell. Treat people the way you want to be treated.
Excellent. Wonderful podcast. Where can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, exactly. It was awesome. So more importantly, let's talk about you, man. Let's talk about, no, I think we're very much aligned. So a lot of things we see today in sales is really broken, right? I mean, I'm sure you see it in the UK. We see it here in the States. You know, you've got it on LinkedIn. You've got the connect and pitch. You've got, try go buy. I mean, in the States, we're still buying cars in person. We try to buy them online and go through the entire process, hoping we never have to talk to a salesperson. And when we do, we dread it. And typically the experience is not a great one. So I feel like sales can be much better. I am in your camp, Fred, because I love your positive energy. And I think between us and a few others, we can turn the view of sales around. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, as you say, sales is broken. And we see some of these weird behaviors. But there's a really concerning one, which is this, you talked about the B2C sale of you buying a car, but we're seeing this in B2B as well, aren't we? Where customers are trying to avoid salespeople. They're not
Exactly
wanting to talk. They're not getting any value. So what can we do to make sure that we're the kind of person that they do want to see?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's knowing something about their business. I remember years ago, I don't know if you've ever done this, but before there was this thing called the World Wide Web, we would show up at a company, and if we didn't recognize what they did, we would say things like, "So, what do you do here?" Right? You cannot do that anymore, right? So it takes literally 30 seconds to pull up someone's website and know something about the company. And then we start connecting the dots, what might be some of their challenges? Do we have other clients in that space? But understanding something about that business at least gives us a little bit of an edge over the salesperson that just wants to talk about themselves. And people, they've heard enough from salespeople, they just don't really like us in general. So knowing something about them and their business is tantamount, I think, to at least starting a good relationship.
It's just polite, isn't it? It's just respectful.
Yeah.
I think. In fact, I interviewed a guy called Moed Amin, and he says it's dishonest and discourteous to not research somebody, which I kind of go with.
Yeah, I like it.
Do you think that sometimes, though, that we do our research and then we do understand what they do so well, and we reckon that, okay, well, I can see where we can get some benefit there. We can add some benefit. And we forget to ask anything about them. We show no interest in them because people still want to talk about their baby, don't they?
Exactly. So basically, the risk is going in and saying, I know all about you. I have clients. I know exactly what you do. I know your business. And if we do that, that's the exact opposite of what we want because of what you just said, right? People want to talk about themselves, give them an opportunity. So yeah, I totally agree. There is risk, but man, we've got to be eager to learn and be curious in sales, and people will love to talk about themselves. And that's the start of a great relationship where I come from.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, it is that. It is most people's favorite subject, isn't it?
I haven't met anyone that doesn't like talking about themselves. Or here's one when you see, and I struggle with this in Zoom, right? Who do you look at? We end up looking at ourselves, and then our eyes are off over here, and we love ourselves. Let's admit it. So, I mean, you're pretty awesome, but come on now. Good looking bald guy with like me. Oh, wait a minute. You're a good looking
So
bald. Bright shirt. Oh yeah, you got a bright shirt. Yeah.
it's quite confusing. You got glasses on. I got headphones. You got glasses. That's how I'm remembering who's who.
Yeah, I'm the one with the glasses.
But it's true. But I think the skill for me is, yes, you do the research, and then you can think of an intelligent question which shows that you've done the research, shows that you're interested in them, gets them to elaborate, them to start speaking. And you can then really start to get that relationship up and running really quickly, can't you? Because you've done a good job in saying, hey, look, I do care about you. I'm interested in you.
Exactly. I mean, so you brought up asking an intelligent question, and that could go a couple of ways, right? Some may overthink. I mean, I don't know if you know people like that, but they feel like they're just not capable of asking those deeper questions. And I think that's fine, right? But just understanding a little bit about the space, about the way the environment might become competitive, or what are they doing with the work from home model, things that everybody's talking about. So our intelligence doesn't mean we need to make this big contribution to their business because they know it, we don't, but we can ask questions that are relatable to pretty much any business. So I fear that some get intimidated, and so they don't ask because they don't want to look, I don't want to say stupid, but they don't want to look stupid, right?
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed that, Fred?
I find with kind of more naive or sort of less experienced salespeople, they don't ask the question because they feel as though they've got to show they know stuff.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
haven't had the light bulb moment yet that actually your job is to help people think. And by
Yeah.
asking questions, it's the easiest way to do that. And that's where you can massively set yourself apart.
Mm-hmm.
The other one,
Yeah.
and you've probably seen this, is where they don't feel on the right level to be able to ask somebody senior a question that is quite intrusive or quite,
Yeah.
and that's something we've got to really help people with. You talk about serving the customer.
Yeah.
I know that's a big part of what the book's about. I think sometimes it almost slips into being subservient. And so people won't ask good questions because they feel as though they're not entitled, they're not worthy, they're not
Oh,
the right
yeah.
level. So how can we overcome that?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. I think it's really about just, providing value is overused, right? But I'm going to keep saying that we have to understand what it means to provide value. Saying it is one thing, but actually doing it. So, like for instance, and I use this in the book, I talk about a fine dining experience. Now, someone who is a server can be intimidated by the guest or the client that comes into a restaurant. It could be someone of royalty in the UK, right?
Mhm.
Could be someone who is world renowned and they say, well, I'm so nervous. I'm not going to be able to, do this properly. But yet they have to fall back on their professionalism. And their professionalism puts them in a place that they get past the nerves. And I think we have to do that in sales, or if we're running a small business, that we may be nervous. We may look at the person and say, well, they know more than I could ever know. Why would I ask them a question? We're asking questions so that we can bring value to them, right? So if we don't know what's important to them, then how do we, use that term, bring the value? The value is not post sale. A lot of people say, well, I have a great product and a great service, and that's the value. Okay, great. But if you don't have the sale, how do you do it? Right. So putting yourself in a place where you can say, I need to learn and I need to suck it up. And maybe I don't have all of the knowledge, but I have humility And I don't mind if I look a little silly, but we don't want to introduce every question as this may be a dumb question.
Hmm.
But it's okay occasionally to say that because I want to learn. I want to soak this in. And people typically deal with my humility in a positive way because they know I'm there to ultimately serve. And I think if we go in with that attitude, they'll help us understand their business. What's your thought on that, Fred?
Yeah, I'm totally with it. And I actually probably take it even like a step forward. And I'm going to borrow a phrase from a colleague of mine, a guy called Mike Wilkinson. I always use this. Whenever we talk about value, my mind
Yeah.
always goes to him.
Right.
And he talks about this concept of value is a mystery, which I love because we don't know actually what value is. I don't know. Customer might not know either. We've got to work on that together, unravel that mystery and go, right,
Beautiful.
that's what you think value is. That's what it means in this conversation. That's how we can now do something together. And let's now collaborate and deliver on that. Because that's what it means in this conversation, me and you in this opportunity. I love it.
That is right.
Mike's a clever bloke.
Yeah. Kudos to Mike for coming up with that. Maybe we should interview him. Maybe we should have him on the podcast. Come join us, Mike.
I've tried to interview him 3 times and the Zoom's crashed every time, but he's a top guy. I've spent a lot of time.
But it's true, right? So like if we think our value is one thing, then we can go into a situation or a conversation and we say, well, my value is this, and completely miss what the prospect or client is looking for because we're so caught up with, well, I bring value because I'm a great listener. Okay. But is there something else? Is there something else that maybe it's a connection? Maybe it's some insight. Maybe it's somebody you know, but by having the conversation, we keep an open mind. So I really like it that it's a mystery because everybody's different. That's great stuff.
Yeah, no, that's why it's so genius. And sometimes it's sort of, I think we do need to push a little bit.
Yeah.
Push, maybe with the wrong word. Challenge, I suppose, is the popular way of doing that. It's just say, hey, look, let's just cover this from a different angle, different perspective.
Yeah. All right. So I love this. All right. So are you going to ask me a question or can I ask you a question?
Oh, go on then. So me, I don't know. Wait, actually, I think we're recording your podcast as well. We'll just put it out on both channels. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we should. That's right.
Cool.
But what is that push, right? I'm assuming you're familiar with the Challenger sale. Yeah. Okay. So what's your feeling on that? And you're not going to offend me one way or another, but I'm kind of curious as to what you think about that as far as that push is concerned. And if there's limits and so.
Yeah, I mean, for me, pushing, challenging, whatever word you want to use, it comes down to what's your intent. If you're doing something, and I'll go back to what I said before, which is about helping people to think, because that I believe is where we can add massive value and where we differentiate. If you're helping them think, and you're helping them think by asking questions, and then you just spin in a question that just helps them come from a different perspective, you're doing a good job. Now, sometimes it has to be, look, I'm not doing my job if I don't push back on this a little bit, because I want us to really make sure we get to the bottom of this. And you can frame it and phrase it in an elegant, in a dignified way.
Yeah.
Don't just go argue with people and rattle their cage for the sake of it. That's not what Challenger is. It gets misunderstood, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, I think that's a great point because if you're, again, I use that line to provide the value. So if I'm putting myself in the shoes of saying, look, my goal here is to provide incredible value to you. And there are some questions that I might ask just that it's only because I want to understand how I could serve you better. And if we put ourselves in that frame of mind, I am 100% all for it. Here's what I think some people miss on, and I'm not I don't think there's a wrong way of selling. I mean, there are people that do nothing but talk about themselves and still sell. So I'm not going to say you're doing it wrong because they're doing okay, right? I'm just saying there are things that some people may not like and so forth. But like sometimes, I mean, what I've seen in sales is people know what they want to buy. And the seller tries to talk them out of that. And then what happens is that the person says, well, why should I listen to you? There isn't enough respect for me to listen to, like, for the buyer to listen to the salesperson. And so they go elsewhere. And so the salesperson thinks that they're challenging and doing the right thing, but maybe not necessarily. So what's your thought on that side?
Yeah, I mean, it's very similar to what I said, isn't it? It's like you're not actually challenging. You're trying to almost like manipulate. You're
Yeah.
trying to kind of you're disguising challenger sales as pushing somebody off in the wrong direction or a direction which suits you, not necessarily them. I think there's something interesting you said though about people often know what they want. And again, a smart seller will go, actually, if you're quite an expert buyer, well, let's align with the way you do stuff because you
Right.
know what you've done. You might have been buying stuff and yeah, way longer than I've been around, you know?
Hmm.
Sometimes then, and then that's great. And that's just flexing. Sometimes because I don't know how to buy this stuff. I don't buy it that often.
Right.
Never bought it. Probably never buy it again. Right.
Yeah.
Let me take you by the hand. Let me serve you by becoming your guide. So
There you
either way,
go.
for me, it fits in with your concept of serving. It's just flex and work out what is the best way in which you can serve that person.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. The idea of being a guide, because most people in the B2B space, they're buying, unless you're dealing with professional purchasers. But if you're dealing with somebody who is buying something, and I'm very familiar with the technology space, they're buying it with huge risks in their mind, right? Will this be adopted? I'm spending whatever, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars, and I could bring something in. And if there is an adoption, then, I'm going to look like an idiot,
Yeah.
right? And potentially lose my job over it. So, the seller can listen and say, like you said, let me help you. Let me show you, right? Some of the things I'm going to help you along the way. And I see where you're coming from, but let's make this incredibly successful. And you're the hero, right? I'm going to do everything I can in my power to make this as easy as pie, seamless, whatever the expression is that we use, so that there's adoption and they feel good about their decision and it removes as much risk as possible. Thoughts?
Yeah, you said a really interesting line there that I want to pick up on.
Okay. I should have recorded it.
You are the hero.
Yeah.
Yeah, the seller says to the customer, you are the hero. I think this as a mindset it's a must actually. The way
Yeah.
that something's going, stop trying to be so ego driven and be the person that's solving everything on your,
Yeah.
steaming in on your white charger. They're the hero.
Yeah.
So by working out, what is going to make them the hero, how can we position like that? How can we aid? How can we bring others in, other assistants, other helpers? It's such a key thing.
Well, that goes in with your book, right? So your idea of collaborative selling, which is selling, what is it? What is your book again?
I called it the wrong thing. I wish I'd called it collaborative selling. I called it selling through partnering skills.
Okay, okay. But it's all right. So yeah, but I love that because when you're talking about if the client or the prospect is the hero, then we're going to bring as many helpers or appropriately that can help guide. And ultimately, the salesperson is the guide. They're kind of the quarterback, but they can bring other people that help this person really feel very comfortable and confident that they're making a great decision. I know I'm stealing your thunder. So talk.
No, not at all. No, it's like, I talk about the hero's journey a lot, and
Yeah.
it's kind of, you look at lots of films, they've got the same kind of plot really, haven't you, with the
Mhm.
hero and they go into the unknown and they've got to go all these battles and fights and everything. And
Right.
everyone's there to help them, so your
Yeah.
customer, they're Harry Potter, they're Luke Skywalker, they're
Yeah.
Dorothy and the Wizard of Oz. Make sure that you and, your colleagues are the ones who are helping them through all those battles, keeping them safe and getting them through to the other side better than when they started. I love
Yeah.
that as a mindset. And dignity, partnering skills, PQ. There's various ways we can tap into to help get that mindset right. And it
Yeah.
we call it probably slightly different things, but we're on the same page. It's
Totally.
just different to get in front of the customer, hit them with this, push, push, push,
Right.
get them to sign on a dotted line.
Yeah. Exactly.
These things that we're talking about, I mean, some people just keep rejecting, keep pushing away. It's like, well, okay, but that's what customers are wanting, and they're voting with their feet because they don't want to speak to you. That for me is where we need to be going.
Well, yeah. If you're doing things like that, right? Well, the way you described where the client is the hero, If you're doing that, the chances of them ghosting you are so much less, right? Compared to the person that's just sniffing the sale. And I was talking to a person the other day, and I asked him, I said, well, because he was complaining about people ghosting him. And I asked him, I said, why do you think they're ghosting you? He says, well, they're taking me for granted. And I said, okay, so they always know you're there, right? That you're there. You're not going anywhere. You're there whenever they're ready. Where is the value you're providing them?
Yeah.
And his answer was like, what do you mean? Because he's asking for the order. The person's already there. They're already ready. He says they're ready to sign. But still, why are they not signing? Right? Put yourself in their shoes. Is it economic? Is it uncertainty? Is there uncertainty in the economy? Are they looking for another job? Are they having troubles with turnover? I mean, there's all kinds of things that could be going on. And if we're only thinking about our sale, then they're going to keep ghosting us.
Yeah.
Right? Instead of maybe sending an email and just providing value in a different way other than asking for the order. And he says, well, what do you mean? And I said, that's the challenge, right? That's the mystery, as your friend Mike said, right?
Yeah.
We have to figure that out.
The line you said, I'm just going to intone it slightly different.
Yeah. Okay.
You said, where's the value you provide? Where is the value you provide? You, the salesperson, the individual. When you turn up, what are you bringing to the party?
Right.
Nothing. Guess why they don't want to talk to you? There's no point. They're too busy. They've got better things to do. They're trying to fight their battles. Rock up with a magic sword, a special shield, a potion, or something that's going to help them with that. I'm sorry. I'm in Harry Potter mode now. But the door's open. It's like, oh, you're about to go and have this battle. Here is something we've prepared that's going to help you win it. Wow. Thank you. Brilliant.
Yeah.
You won't get ghosted because you're being relevant to them and what they're trying to do. But when you're like this one trick pony, talk about, can I have my order? Can I have my order? Can I have my order? Well, no, because I'm fighting battles.
Yeah.
But that's how I see it. And I just get people to think about where the person, what are you bringing to the party?
Right. Well, so there's obviously different types of personalities and buyers. And I'm one of them where I know I need something. I don't necessarily go out and buy it. Right. So I'm like, I know it's there. I'll eventually get around to it. And then when I buy it. But when I'm not ready, I don't do it. And there are people that are very apprehensive about making that decision and they know they need to, and I can relate to them. So when they say, I'm going to get this done over the weekend, or I'm going to get this done for early part next week, and they don't, and I call, I'm okay if it takes a few weeks.
Okay.
I understand because that's the way I am sometimes. And when it comes, you have to be super polite though, because then if you just keep pressuring them, then, the red flags start potentially coming up. So I always feel like just give the person the space. When they're ready, but we just have to, again, do our thing, right?
Well, if you keep pressuring them, you're going to put them off even more, aren't you? It's like, hang on, I'm trying to fight a battle here and you're coming up in my ear, putting me off. And people chucking stones at me. Go away.
Right. Yeah.
I'm ghost you. I'm going to block you.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm turning up here with this thing that's going to help you. Oh, cool. Yeah, I've predicted what's going to happen. That's what's going to go.
Nice. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly. That's a surprise.
That's not even what you sell. No, but I know you'd find it useful because when you've sorted that, then you'll come back and talk to me. And that's like another thing you can do. So
yeah. All right. So now I'm getting, so it's funny how I see your reaction. So that triggers something in my mind. When you throw a curve where you're not expected to do something. So an example might be, is that you have this person that's ready to buy and they're sitting there, weeks are going by. Send an email or a text and say something along the lines, I thought of you when I was speaking to this person. I thought you two should connect.
Yeah. Wow.
Right? It is such a money thing to do because they now see that you have this network and you're trying to help them, number one, right? So it's not about you. You're trying to get people to help each other out in your network. And there's plenty of good reasons here. But the second thing is, I say this to salespeople all the time. You never have to ask, how is everything looking? Because the buyer is smart and they've already connected the dots. They know that you're there and would love to know, how's everything looking? And they'll typically say something along the lines, I've been really busy. I've got to get to what you and I spoke about a few weeks ago. Right? Doesn't that happen pretty frequently when you're completely throw them off guard versus where we stand? You said you're going to have this a couple of weeks ago. I've got our operations department ready. I got our integration team ready. That doesn't motivate people. It's like, back off, dog.
End of the course, I've got a discount. Oh, okay. Oh, hang on a minute. You're now training,
Right.
and you're now training me not to talk to you.
Right. Exactly.
I'll wait another course. I'll wait another month and see if it comes down any further. So,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
you two should connect. What an elegant strategy. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. And it's just,
no.
the whole giving mindset, right? So if you have buyers that not only buy from you, but buy from your friends or sell to your friends in your network, then you become Fred the connector, Fred the business engine, right? He's not only selling something to me, but he's helping me grow my business. And I can't guarantee, but I'm pretty sure every salesperson who is worth their salt can make a connection about somebody that does something that could help out a business one way or another.
And there's a lot of talk, isn't there, at the moment around personal branding. And it depends what mood I'm in.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can really
I get pretty fed up with it because
let's talk about
let's talk about profile. And it's like, what post am I going to put?
Yeah.
Hang on a minute. Now let's step back. If you look at your purpose and your practice, so why do you do this stuff? What do you actually do? So forget about putting it all public on LinkedIn and everything like that. If your brand is, hey, that Fred's a good guy, that Harry's a good guy, he knows loads of people, he'll always put you in the right thing. He's always got a little bit of info that's useful. That's the brand you want. It's how you're perceived by people. It's that reputation, not, oh, he's really good. He's learned how to write a formulaic post. It's like, okay, it's part of it. But
no, it's totally true.
But that is how you want to be. I talked before, again, back in the day, your sales stature, that was how you were perceived. That's how you were seen by people.
Yeah. I'm not as bright as you are, Fred, on this. I thought brand was, I don't want to say it was just a logo, but it wasn't much more than the logo to me. And then in my journey of writing a book, then people asking me about the brand. And I'm like, I don't know, right? I really had to learn to understand brand. And when I listened or saw a post or a comment or whatever about Jeff Bezos talking about the brand, is your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, it's so simple and so good. It's just one of those things. And I had a friend, before I started writing the book, a friend on LinkedIn, a connection, referred to me as the all-around good guy. So in my description, I wrote Harry Spaight or whatever, the about all-around good guy. And that's really who I was. It's just, I try to get along with everybody. I'm not at war with anybody. It's like everyone believes differently politically. I believe there's a middle ground. We should all find traits we like about the other person. Why fight over politics? Why fight over race? Why fight? It's just stupid, right? We all bleed red, whatever, right? All of these are things I've been my entire adult life. Anyway, so that was my brand. I didn't know it. That all around good guy, that's really part of my brand. And a person said to me recently, Dominic Damasky, I'll name drop, he helped with publishing a book. And he said, Harry, you are always on message. And I'm like, I am?
So I'm loving working with you because I'm not having to change anything.
Right. It just made me feel so good because it's just me being me. Right. I don't go in second guessing and saying, what is my brand? Because I would totally screw that up. right? But me being me is pretty darn easy. What's your thought on this, Fred?
Well, I have an inkling as to why this is. So people get this for me the wrong way around. They concentrate too much on profile and they don't look at their purpose and the practice.
Yeah.
Whereas what I understand is you're a guy with a purpose who then puts that stuff into practice and then ultimately communicates it. And like I think you said, your book's like 10 years in the writing because you have got your purpose, which has been driving what you have been up to. That's
Yeah.
you. That's how it
Yeah.
is. So actually, people spend all this time trying to put this image forward, but it's built on sand. There's nothing to it. You've got this. And I'm intrigued. I want to know a little bit more about the mission that you did. I mean, talk about purpose. You had a mission. You worked on a mission. So just tell us a little bit more about that. Because
Yeah. So the backstory was when I shortly out of high school, a secondary school, I think you call in the UK, I found a spiritual side of me, which I didn't really know existed. And then I pursued that for a number of years and then got married to a beautiful young lady. And she also shared my similar passions about serving other people. So we ended up doing a lot of cool things, helping all kinds of people in the inner cities and educating, dealing with spousal abuse, all kinds of things, right? And we're all about serving people. Well, one day I said, wouldn't it be great? We're in the Bahamas. Someone actually paid for our trip to go to the Bahamas because that's the kind of life we lived. We were impoverished, to say the least. It was all about serving people. And so friends of ours said, look, we want to take you to the Bahamas. And I just was like, oh my God, this is so cool. And I said to my wife, we're sitting on the beach. I said, wouldn't it be great to live on a tropical island? And she said, yeah, that'd be great. And then the gears started turning. And I said, how about if we find a way where we can serve people and live in the tropics and just have an experience of our lifetime? And then she got nervous, but she still played along, right? She says, really? One thing led to another. And within, this is before the internet. This is in the mid 90s, early 90s. Maybe the internet was just coming out, but we didn't have computers. So we ended up exploring areas like Peru, Bolivia, Ecuador, which are not tropical islands, and the Dominican Republic, which was a tropical island. And we settled on the Dominican Republic. We moved down there and we literally did not know a soul. Now we knew people potentially through our church, but we didn't know them, right? So I got off the plane thinking we knew some Spanish because I had Spanish in high school. This is the biggest joke in the world. I mean, people are speaking Spanish like we speak English, like really fast and cutting off syllables. And it's like, you could be speaking Greek. And we're in this airport surrounded by people. I think they're asking for money. And that became our home for the next couple of years. So there was all kinds of great experiences, incredible trials, tears. I mean, one situation which really highlights the need for me to never quit is like, you heard the expression burning the boats?
yeah.
Okay, so I forgot where it came. It came from some somebody going in, taking over a country, and there was no going back. So they burned their ships. Well, we were in the mountains of the Dominican Republic, and we had just put our money down on this house with a thatched roof. And we had mosquito nets, and it was a nice place, ceramic tile. It was beautiful, but had a thatched roof. Well, in the nighttime, the place came alive. Like we had lights and that drew in every critter that was on that island. And we had gone over we made new friends. They invited us over to their home. We took our motorcycle back, driving up the driveway, opened up the door, and it was swarming, flying insects, palmetto bugs. There's just these giant roaches, frogs, tarantulas. I mean, it was, giant lizard was on the roof, on the ceiling. We're like, oh my God. And my wife, when she walked into the bedroom, she says, you're not going to believe this. She comes back, tears in her eyes. Our mosquito net, which was surrounded the bed, had roaches inside of the bed. right? And so now it's like, we are so stuck here. If we could have gotten on I know she, in a heartbeat, she would have gotten on a motorcycle, get me out of Dodge, get me on a plane. Let's go back to the States and just be done with this. And we'd make it work, right? There is no turning back. And that to me is like one of those things about I've learned in life is that when you commit, no matter how bad it gets, you stay committed and you just make it work. And it was just a huge, huge lesson for us. So lots of fun, but that was just one of the many, many experiences that we had there that helped in business as well, right? So in business, when things are going pretty bad, which they do at times, I just look at the mosquito net and say, yeah, I had to sleep in there.
I just think like
I got to crawl in with the roaches.
It can't get any worse than oh no, I love that. I love that. What a brilliant story. And yeah, I'm laughing at the Spanish stuff because yeah,
Right. We
Spanish
all
is
know,
probably
we all
the
know that that's
fastest language to speak, and in Latin America they change it for the Castilian that you learn. So
Oh yeah, exactly. People, all right. So another funny thing is I try to communicate in Spanish and they said, I don't speak English. And I said, I'm speaking Spanish. Estoy hablando español. And they're like, no, don't, no. And it's because I was speaking this Spanish from Spain,
yeah,
where I was actually enunciating the syllables, which, doesn't happen in the islands.
no. It happens to me when I work in Latin America. I speak Castilian Spanish, and they smile. Is it my English accent? I said, no, it's just Spanish.
Yeah.
That's what
Right.
we love.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
it's great. Oh,
Yeah.
that's wonderful. So I kind of looked at something that you'd written, kind of almost like a checklist, I think, of selling with dignity. And I'm probably going to ask you a very hard question here. But in your checklist, you put the keys to selling with dignity, I guess, which is like love others, listen, treat others the way you want to be treated, speak with tact, persist. We've just been talking about that. Be patient, be kind, plan, have vision, surround yourself with wise friends, and believe. Now, clearly, it's a sum of all of those things.
Mm-hmm.
But is there one that's kind of more important than the others? If I can only pick one off that list,
Yeah. It's belief.
belief.
Yeah. Yeah.
You have no doubt in answering that. You answered that without even thinking.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, 100% it's belief. And for me, right. And the reason I say that is we are our own worst enemy.
Mhm.
And we can do so many great things in life. If we just stop and stepped out of our bodies and looked at the things we do, if we could only do that, and we could see ourselves helping people, we could see ourselves being a great parent, all the times that we're a great parent or the great spouse, or how we're, leading whatever in our business, we can do all of that and still not believe we can be successful. And that is the key. I'm a big believer in affirmations that we say we're great, that we're amazing, and we work at believing it. And then all the things that we're doing can come to fruition. But if we don't believe, we get coaching, counseling, and we still don't believe that we're deserving or that we're good enough or smart enough or whatever, we're going to be held back just on one trait.
Brilliant.
What's your thought?
It makes so much sense. You can kind of almost like go through the motions. You can do the things. You kind of got your activities, your tasks. But
Yeah.
if it hasn't quite got that belief behind it, that's the stuff which will catapult it all forward, isn't it? So
yeah, I mean, and I've worked with salespeople for years. So I was a sales leader for years and years, and some people just didn't believe. It says, I don't see how this is going to work, right? That's ultimately where they say, I don't see how this works. And it's just like, it does, right? You're on a hike, going up a mountain, there's going to be an incredible view. You don't see it, but you're making progress towards it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And if you don't have that vision and belief that it's around the corner, then, it's too bad. Right. And people have missed incredible opportunities in life. Right. There's a world filled with people who have missed out on opportunities purely for lack of belief. And I don't think we need to be those people.
No. I mean, you're talking life now. We've moved way beyond selling.
Yeah, yeah,
No, no,
exactly. Sorry.
no, but that's no. Well, yeah, that's great. That's very cool. Very cool. Oh, cool. So, Harry, how do people get in touch with you? How can they learn more?
If they're watching this video, they can Google me, but I'm harryspaight.com, sellingwithdignity.com. Find me on LinkedIn. Let's connect, and I'll do my best to help you have the view of sales is about serving and help grow your business. But that's really what it's all about for me. That's the mission. Fred, I can't thank you enough. I love the energy. We are getting you on Sales Made Easy. We're going to talk about partnering, not collaboration. I got to square it.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I wish I'd called it sales through partnering skills. No, I did call it sales through partnering skills. I probably should have called it collaborative selling. But at the core of it are the elements of PQ, which are partnering skills. We can balance. Anyway, I'll tell you all about that on that one. This is your podcast. You've come along, shared some excellent stuff with us. And so look, I really
My
thank you
pleasure,
so
man.
much.
You make it easy.
Cheers. Thank you for listening to the Sales Today podcast with me, Fred Copestake. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe for more and leave a review. If you didn't like it, also leave a review. It's all about feedback and learning.